Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Media Pulse. We're in mid-October now, aren't we?
That's right. We have only 2 weeks left before the end of the month.
It's almost Halloween.
Yeah. No, but lest you forget, Kun Clare, the month of October in the context of Thai politics always has special significance.
Yes, it does. And the reason being is that many important political events happened in October throughout Thailand's history.
Okay, and there is no logic for that.
No.
No, but historically speaking, if you look back, all the major events, either good or bad, tended to happen in the month of October. And that's why the Thai media, almost by consensus, refer to October as the Jinx October or Fateful October.
We are keeping our fingers crossed that nothing is going to happen this month. It hasn't happened so far and is now mid-month. So, yeah, despite unfavorable predictions.
Yeah, you're right. We should continue to keep our fingers crossed. Nothing bad, nothing extraordinary has happened yet, but nobody knows. Yeah. Because it's quite common that whenever October approaches, there would be soothsayers, right, or even the political experts predicting that this will happen, that will happen in October, and some come up with very interesting predictions, but some predictions could be very outlandish.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe the Thai politics is always like it's Halloween all year, so maybe that's why October.
Okay. Now let's take a look back to find out what makes October so exceptional.
Yeah, so this one, we have the footage. We're going to talk about October 1973. This refers to an incident where there was a student-led uprising that caused the demise of the government of Field Marshal Thanom Kittikachorn, who was one of the most despised authoritarian regimes in modern Thai history.
No, there were heavy casualties in the uprising, but it eventually succeeded in ushering in a new era of Thai democracy. But unfortunately, that did not last very long, because also in October, 3 years later, the pro-democracy student movement was brutally crushed by security forces. At least 40 people were killed and scores of others injured at the hand of right-wing extremists. The massacre paved the way for a military coup d'etat that brought the country back under the military dictatorship once again.
Yeah, I remember Sangat Chaloyu was the person in charge at the time. And then came the Tak Bai massacre that took place in October 2004, so exactly 20 years
That's
ago.
Right. So this month, exactly 20 years ago, Thailand witnessed one of its biggest human tragedies. 85 people died as a result of an operation by security forces to put down a protest in the remote district of Tak Bai in the southern province of Narathiwat.
That's why the incident became known as the Tak Bai massacre.
Yeah, and it has been recorded as an event that was one of the biggest blots on the history of violence in the 3 southernmost provinces of the country. But what is interesting is that just only weeks before its anniversary, which falls on the 25th of October, right? The incident has made headlines once again, but this time not for the sake of remembrance, but raising questions about the country's justice system.
Exactly, and I'm sure that Prime Minister Paetongtarn certainly did not expect to be in the spotlight in relation to these issues.
That's right.
So we have the headline, and here's the irony. The tragic event took place while Thaksin Shinawatra was Prime Minister of Thailand, and then 2 decades after that, it has come back to haunt his daughter, the young Prime Minister. And for example, in this headline from Now Na, it says sinful inheritance or inheritance of sin, 85 corpses. The problem started with the father and the daughter is left to solve it. We do have another headline as well from Bangkok Biz News, and it says, Tak Bai case returns to haunt after 19 years, hammering the nail on another mistake of Pheu Thai.
This is quite an irony. The incident happens under Thaksin's watch. and now his daughter, the young Prime Minister, has to be held responsible for not being able to have the case prosecuted. Now, the interest in the event that took place 20 years ago has been revived largely because after 20 years, successive governments have not been able to hold anyone accountable for what happened.
Yeah.
Arrest warrants have been issued for 7 prime suspects, including former senior army and police officers. But none has been brought to justice so far. I think that is the issue, and that is the reason why the case continues to haunt whoever is in power. But what has particularly angered families of the victim is that the statute of limitations of the case will expire on October 25th, the 20th anniversary of the massacre, and that is just only a week away from now. And if that happens, all those alleged to be responsible for the Tak Bai massacre will go scot-free.
Yeah, and among the accused was General Pisan Watanawongkiri, who was the commander of the regional army in the south during the time when it happened, and he actually admitted to having ordered the security forces to crack down on the protesters, but denied responsibility.
All right.
Yeah.
So some background on the event. The protest was triggered by the arrest of 6 defense volunteers in Tak Bai district who were accused of selling their government-issued firearms to separatists. Because in the local areas in the 3 provinces in southern Thailand, it's very common for villagers to be recruited as defense volunteers to defend their villages against harassment, assault by separatists. But the problem is that these 6 people were accused of selling the arms that were supposed to be used to defend themselves, accused of selling these arms to the separatists.
That's why they were arrested, and then there were protests.
Yeah, of course, the local villagers were angry with the arrest because they believed that these 6 suspects were framed. So they converged in front of the police station in Tak Bai district, where the suspects were being held. And after hours, or even a day-long negotiation, the protesters refused to disperse and started showing signs of violence. And General Pisan back then said he decided to order the military to move in to disperse the crowd.
Yeah.
And the ensuing melee, resulted in the deaths of 7 protesters on site. But it was what happened afterward that caused the real tragedy.
Yeah, so the Tak Bai massacre, this was when more than 1,000 protesters, mostly young people, were rounded up and then loaded onto army trucks. And they got their hands tied in the back, and the detainees were crammed into the back of the trucks. During the 5-hour journey, so they were crammed into the truck, and then they made a journey, about 5-hour journey, to an army installation in another province. And many passed out because of poor ventilation and heat. And then upon their arrival, they found that 78 of the detainees were found dead from asphyxiation.
All right, fast forward. And it was not until August this year, just 2 months ago, 20 years after the incident and 2 months before the statute of limitations of the case was to expire, that charges were filed against 7 people alleged to be responsible for the tragic event. There has been no official explanation as to why the legal process took so long.
Yeah, however, during that time, the Defense Ministry did pay out financial compensation to the family of each of the victims. But despite the compensation, those families still want justice.
Yeah, that's right. Because the people in the local area see the case as a test of the Thai government's sincerity in resolving conflicts in the strife-torn region.
And at the center of this case is General Pisan, right?
That's right. He's the former commander of the regional army unit in the south, and who was directly responsible for what happened on that fateful day. The problem is that General Pisan is known for his close connection with former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra. And worse still, General Pisan was a party list MP of the Pheu Thai party until he decided, under mounting pressure, to resign earlier this week.
Yes, exactly. So remember the connection, Pheu Thai party. Our Prime Minister, Patongtan, is also the party leader at the moment. So there's a connection.
And the problem is that General Pisan has not been seen for months. He is reported to be on sick leave overseas for medical treatment for unspecified illnesses. And for weeks, Patongtan and Pheu Thai Party were under tremendous pressure to locate and convince General Pisan to turn himself in after a warrant for his arrest was finally issued.
Yeah, well, he's still lying low. Nobody know where he is at the moment. And in the eye of the critics, although he resigned, it has not totally absolved the Pheu Thai Party, especially Prime Minister Patongtan, because they still have the responsibility to bring General Pisan to face justice, and time is running out.
Because for weeks, members or executives of Pheu Thai Party have been faced with questions from reporters. Where is General Pisan? Can you find him? Can you convince him to turn himself in? And a question like this. But there has never been a very official answer from the party, whether or not the party has in any way tried to locate him or tried to talk to him that it's about time that he gave himself up.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, apart from General Pisan, who is high profile, there are still 6 other suspects who are still on the run. And it doesn't seem like they're going to face justice within a week.
There's a strong likelihood that none of them will be brought before the court before the statute of limitations of the case expires in a week from now.
So what are the ramifications if that happens?
All right, it depends on how you see the situation in the South at the moment. It's still volatile. We have seen a series of assault attacks by separatists on government installations, right? But if you talk to security experts, I mean, these people are quite pessimistic because they foresee the possibility of an aggravation of the violence in the region. They are also concerned that if the case, comes to naught, it may also affect the peace dialogue between the Thai government and representatives of the BRN, the main separatist group.
Yeah, exactly. However, Interior Minister Anutin Chanvirakul seems to have a different idea. He said even if the case is dropped, it should not have any serious consequences on the situation in the region. That's his opinion.
And what he says certainly goes against the feelings of the people in local areas.
Yeah.
Because as we mentioned earlier, that the people down there believe that how the government handles the case is a big test of its sincerity in dealing with the situation in the region.
Yeah, and our Prime Minister Patongtan has not really said anything about this case.
Not really.
No.
But if you ask me, what does the whole affair say about our state of things? My answer would be, in Thailand, the wheel of justice often turns very slowly.
Well, speaking of the wheel of justice, I have a contradiction because we're going to talk about this case that has made a lot of headlines this week. It's about the Icon Group. Yeah. So for this group, in Thailand this week, there's a scandal involving many celebrities and potentially mysterious political figures as well. And just to recap, a short recap about what happened. So we have Paul, the person in question, who is the top executive of the Icon Group. He went on a TV program, tearing up, saying sorry on the program. And he said that his business is under investigation after numerous complaints surfaced. So this is him crying.
The moment that he broke down, crying, saying that I'm not sure whether I will live another day. That was one of his statements during the interview.
Yeah, he seems extremely in distress. Anyway, the business model on the surface sounded like a normal MLM business, like multi-level marketing, direct sales so style. And the so-called potential investor would pay about 98 baht to attend an online marketing course. And after that, some alleged that they were persuaded to buy the goods to sell in order to make profit. So there are people who claim that they have been tricked into investing a lot of money into those goods to sell, but in some cases 6 figures, but a lot of people said they couldn't sell it. Nice. Or some people didn't really have the goods. Okay. It's just to enlist people in their group in order to make money. Yeah.
What makes this case so outstanding is the fact that it involves so many celebrities,
Exactly.
well-known figures.
Yes, there are many sound clips as well. So first of all, it attracted a lot of attention because there were celebrities involved. And then there's a sound clip where the conversation seems to have involved the authorities and certain figures in power.
Okay.
So let's listen to this one that Paul admitted that it was his voice in this recording.
ไม่พี่กำลังจะบอกพอว่าพอต้องใหญ่กว่านี้
ครับ
ต้องใหญ่กว่านี้แต่พอต้องดูแลพี่ดีกว่านี้พอเข้าใจใช่ไหมพอให้พี่เดือนละแสนเนี่ยมันกับที่พี่ไปดูแลคนเนี่ย
ครับ
พี่ดูแลมากกว่านี้ ถ้าพอให้พี่มากกว่านี้ พอจะทำอะไรพอเด็ดหนีบนิ้วได้เลย
พี่
พอเข้าใจใช่ไหม
พี่ช่วยผมเรื่องนี้ก่อนผม
ได้เอา
พึ่ง
พี่รั
บา
บ
ร
ปาก
มีพี่แล้วเนี่ย
แต่พี่รับปากเลย เอาไว้ว่าพี่รับปาก
ครับ
ถ้ากรรมาธิการเรียกบอก เดี๋ยวพี่จัดการให้
ครับ
คือไม่มีอะไรหรอก
The X,
X,
because we don't know who this person is who was talking to Paul. And Mr. X says, listen, you have to look after me. You have to give me more money because the person that the people that I'm looking after, I need more money to take care of them, basically. That's what it says.
So the conversation was construed by the media as an act of extortion somehow, right? Give me more money and then I will protect you from being scrutinized by the House Committee.
Yeah.
So the big question is who was the person at the other end of the line?
Exactly. And then there was also another clip involving angels or guardian spirits. You know, in Thai cultures, when you go to a certain place, they would have the spirit houses.
That's right.
They were talking about the guardian spirits that they would pay respect or worship. But in this case, it was about the office of the Consumer Protection
That's right.
Board.
Which is supposed to have the authority to deal with this kind of fraud, I would call it.
Yes, so Paul was allegedly saying that he was talking to somebody else and then they said they have to look after the guardian spirits, either the real spirits or the guardians as in a physical person we don't know. So that's the analogy in the clip.
So Paul was simply suggesting that there are people in high places that have been providing his business with some kind of protection
Yes.
in return for whatever financial rewards.
Yes. So coming back to the committee, there's a headline. We're going to look at this headline, which talks about Samat Jain Chai Jit Wanit, the former deputy spokesperson of the Palang Pracharat Party. And I say former because he has just been dismissed from the position of deputy spokesperson of Palang Pracharat Party this week following the scandal, which he denied involvement. He also said that he'll file charges on anyone trying to link him to the scandal. So the question remains, who is the powerful person on the other end of the conversation?
And he's now under pressure to resign to save the parties from further embarrassment. Of course, he keeps denying that it wasn't me who was on the phone talking to Paul, but it looks like all the fingers of the media have been pointing.
Yeah, the media has been suspecting him and interviewed him as well. But anyway, we have the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Kun Wan Muhammad Nomata, who talks about this issue as well. He says sometimes it may be those who are close to parliamentary committee members who are trying to falsely claim that they could influence the committee somehow.
All right. So far, 18 people have been taken into custody, including the top boss of the company, Paul, right? And those arrested include a number of celebrities, movie stars, and TV personalities.
Yes.
And the authorities are treating this case as a pyramid money game now.
Yeah.
So that's a big difference from what the company claims to be doing as the MLM, the multi-level marketing business, right? So what is the pyramid money game? It's a form of business in which participants make money through recruitment of new members.
Right.
That means that they don't have real products or services to sell.
Exactly.
Which is different from the MLM, right?
Yeah.
In MLM, you do have services and
products.
business to sell and products to sell. And you also make money from recruiting new members.
Yes. So, yeah, it develops very quickly, this case. So we'll keep an eye on it. And then speaking of Palang Pracharat and speaking of MPs, we're going to talk about this final story of today's program. We're talking about General Prawit Wongsuwan.
And once again, he makes headlines simply because he turned up for House meeting, right?
I know that. Look, we have 500 MPs, right, in the Houses of Parliament. Now, only one whose presence has made headlines for weeks now. This guy.
But what is interesting is that he did turn up. Yes, he signed the logbook, right?
Yes.
To show that he was there. But after signing the logbook, he just disappeared.
Yeah,
without attending the meeting.
Yeah, the guy has a special talent. He goes to a meeting without having to attend a meeting. So there's a special talent. So we have a few headlines. This one says Big Bomb, which is General Prawit. Big Bomb sneaks into parliamentary meeting, signs his name, and left. So according to Prampong Noparit, General Prawit was absent 84 times out of 95 meetings between the 3rd of July last year and 19th September this year.
And he thinks he can compensate for his absence from House meetings by foregoing his monthly MP salary, meaning that he will not be collecting his monthly pay.
Yeah, so he doesn't need to attend.
And so he believes that should compensate for his constant absence from House meeting. Right?
Yeah, well, anyway, we'll
we leave you judge, make us a judgment on that.
We'll call him an MP with a special talent.
Because we keep saying that the primary duty of an MP is to attend House meetings, right? To debate and pass laws. And that's something he has never done. In fact, he hasn't even spent a full single day in House meetings.
Well, he hasn't been paid for it, that's why.
Okay.
Anyway, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next Saturday.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.